Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chapter 1 and Beyond, and I'm your host, Christina. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. So today's episode is going to be all about the wrap-ups and talking about the massive amount of books that I have gone through since the last time I made an episode. Unfortunately, illness has strucketh my house, and it's been a couple of weeks of up and down. Someone else is getting sick and just flat out not fun. So it's going to be kind of a lengthy episode. I had attempted to record this episode last week, posted it on Friday, and then realized after the weekend there was only 6 minutes of the 50-some minutes that I was talking actually on the audio file. So I apologize for that. But I know that from that recording, I have deleted that, so it is not on record anymore. There are quite a few books that are going to be mentioned in this episode because I have absolutely been devouring quite a substantial amount of audiobooks. And I have to say, there's been so many good ones that I have picked up recently, and I just want to talk about them. So we're going to dive right into it. But if you are new here, I am very thankful and happy that you are here. If you have returned, I am very excited to have you back again. It looks like the last time I had posted an episode was on August 22nd. Today is September 18th. Wow. So it has been several weeks since I've posted anything. So I do apologize for that very lengthy break, because it's been almost 3 weeks. Yeah. Holy moly. I didn't realize that. So I guess on the last episode, I'm like looking through my notes from my last episode, and it looks like I had talked about my new mood reading obsessions. And I have to say that mood reading, I've been embracing it, and I have realized that I'm using this to my advantage, because like this whole year I have not really gotten into a reading slump, which is great. It's fantastic. I am very all for it, because it's been hard for me to pick up a physical book. And with being able to find so many great audiobooks, I'm able to stay focused with work. I'm able to lock in on what I need to do outside of, having that time to just sit down and read a book. So I'm just glad that, what I've been experimenting with, it's helped me like not only tear away from my physical TBR, but it has really opened me up to these new genres. It's opened me up to these new authors, and I'm along for it. I'm along for the ride on it. So, and my library has been absolutely fantastic with having a wide variety of audiobooks available to me. I know quite a few people have used Everand. They've used Spotify. They've used Audible. But I personally have found that utilizing my personal local library has really been something that I've been embracing, and I feel now more than ever libraries need to be supported. So that's my personal take, but I know like my latest obsession with mood reading since August 22nd, and I'm gonna scroll all the way back in my read list, and it looks like I was really on a kick with reading like horror books and thriller, suspense, and things like that. So I really want to talk about all the books that I had finished in August, because I don't think I ever did a reading wrap up for August. We're almost pretty much through September already. I didn't really make myself a fall TBR, only because of the fact that I looked at how many more books I want to finish up for 2025, and I've already been starting thinking on what I can do and what my reading goals are going to be for 2026. So I've been more focused on that aspect than doing like seasonal reads. But I mean, my reading list is kind of all over the place, so therefore I'm really not worried about that. So, because I feel like it really covers the basis of what I'm really interested in, and then versus, like, there are some seasonal reads in this list, but for the most part, you know, it's a good variety. And I have to say that lately, horror and fantasy and sci-fi have been my main go-tos. So, okay. So let's talk about my cat is going crazy right now. So if you hear my cat in the background, I apologize, but he's on the prowl right now. What are you doing, Pickles? Oh my gosh, this cat. Anyways, so there were several books that I finished in August. So the first book that I had finished on the 3rd of August, I finished The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angelina Bully. This one took me by surprise because I had originally DNF'd this book, and I picked it back up because I really wanted to give it another chance. And I'm really glad I did, because it was like, it read to me like a thriller, but then it also read to me like it was like this mystery, true crime, like whodunit type situation. And I love that it had many pieces of representation with the reservations, because it was based in Michigan. So that was great because I'm originally from Michigan. And it was just nice to be able to have that key part of home, if you will. And I gave it a 4 stars. It was absolutely fantastic. I really loved the character arcs in this book. I really loved the pacing of it. Because like the biggest thing with me with thriller books and mystery books is the pacing and the characters. I get so annoyed if it's just so slow paced and it feels like it's dragging. And, like, I get annoyed, and I think, like, if you guys have seen in my previous episodes, I absolutely hate Frida McFadden books. They're just not my thing, because she goes through every single one of her characters, and it's just so predictable. And, I pretty much down to a science can, like, predict a lot of, like, if I know, like, the character list and their background, which is what she does at the beginning of all her books, I end up like calling it based off of the profiles that she gives her characters. But this one did it very well. They didn't go through all the characters. I really liked Bully's writing style. The chapters were short. Some of them were a little lengthy, but they moved. They definitely were page turners. So definitely finished that one. I'm actually really excited because there's a second book in this series, and it's already out. So I am planning on continuing the series, which is awesome. The next book that I finished was Tales from the Hinterland by Melissa Albert. This was my first exposure with Melissa Albert's writing, and I absolutely devoured this one. I didn't realize that this was like a kind of like it's a novel, but it's like outside of the main series. And I'm glad I still read it, but it made more sense when I found out that bit of detail that it wasn't part of the series. It was more of like a kind of sideline thing, like Tales of Beetle the Bard, like for Harry Potter, that's just like a side book that they mention in the series and all that. So it was very good. I really liked it. I love that it was like kind of like Grimm's fairy tale type vibes for me personally. I like a good fairy tale book that can kind of like make it more darker and it's not always like happy endings, you know? So, that was great. I gave that one a 4 stars as well. So, and then I drove into the land of Stephen King and I finished Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This book absolutely mortified me. Like, I was terrified. I was flabbergasted. I definitely gave it a 5 stars because I just could not put this down no matter how horrified I was by the content I was reading. It was very graphic and detailed, and some parts just really shouldn't have gone there, but I just, like, seeing the character arc of the father was just, it just made me want to keep running the pages through, and I was just so blown away. I found that I probably should have picked something different from Stephen King's originals, but I'm still glad that I read it. It was definitely a very swift kick into his originals, because like before that I had only had exposure to the Institute and Elevation, which is his later works. So this is one that's pretty much like a staple of Stephen King, and I just did not know much about this book, and I wish I did. So, but going forward, I would still recommend this to people. Just kind of brace yourself that if you're a parent, there are some situations that happen involving around parenthood. So just so you know that. Okay, so I had turned a corner, if you will, in August, because I realized I had read a true crime, dark fantasy, and then just flat out like gore horror. So I had switched over to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I had originally seen this movie and I loved it. I devoured it. I wanted to read this book series for so long, and I'm glad I did. It was totally a different experience than what I remember from the movies, and I'm glad because I kind of like the format better with the book than the movie, because it was more about like the romance with the two characters, and like it still read like some of the scenes that were in this first book, but I could tell how they like kind of combined it, all 6 books, to fit into that one movie. And there was like a lot of stuff that was like obviously sketched out, but I gave that one a 5 stars because I was laughing. It was humorous. I loved it. The robot Marvin, so great. I love him. Like the fact that he's just this depressed little robot walking around. He was great in the movie too, but yeah, just so good. If you're looking for something different in the sci-fi realm, I definitely recommend checking out The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So, I had to twist back to another thriller in August, and the next 3 books I'm going to mention, they were considered like thriller / horror / psychological thriller, I guess you want to call them. So the next one that I had read was Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This was actually one of my book of the month picks, and I finally picked it up, and I was very blown away by this book. This book just shocked me in so many ways, and the twists and turns in this book really got me good, because like I just personally didn't see them coming. And pretty much what this book is about is that this gentleman, this husband, has a situation that happens at the beginning of the book. It's pretty prominent that the wife goes missing. Someone ends up abducting her on the way home from work or wherever. And he he's on the verge of getting this huge book sign, like, this New York Times bestseller list, and he's just on the up with his writing career, and the book just starts to unravel, like, his journey with grief, and the what ifs, and he thinks that he's seeing his wife, and it just, the way that it progresses is very, very interesting to me. It really was a page turner for me. I definitely gave it a 5 stars, because that ending alone was just holy guacamole. So, if you've never been exposed to Alice Feeney's writing, it is very fast-paced, in my opinion. I really liked it because, like, the way that she formatted it was, like, I think in parts, and then there were chapters, but it was very fast-moving, and I just had a really hard time putting it down. The chapters were, from what I remember, because this is, like, over a month ago now since I've finished reading this book, but I found that it was a decent read, and I've never actually read anything from Alice Feeney, so do I want to keep picking up more from her? Absolutely. I'm actually already looking at other titles that I could read for 2026, since the rest of 2025, my reading list is pretty much stapled in and ready to go, and we'll talk about that later in the episode. So the next book that I had read, like I mentioned, it's like, I would say, like, it's considered horror, but I would say it's more psychological thriller. This one was called The Grip of It by Jack Jemick. I have never been exposed to his writing. I actually listened to this on an audiobook through the Libby app, and it read to me like, who's losing their mind first type situation. Like, a couple, they, like, get this house, and, like, they're just kind of going through the emotions of, like, getting this new house, and then they're realizing that, one is hearing and seeing things, and it was very cool. The audiobook was absolutely fantastic, because the narrators were absolutely incredible with the acting out and, building that suspense. So, I mean, I listened to this in less than a day, and I have to say it was really good. I definitely gave it like a 4 stars, because there were some parts that I felt like it kind of dragged a little bit, but for the most part, I liked it. I definitely recommend it. I mean, I'm kind of glad that I just got this through the Libby app, because had I bought this, I probably would say, well, I read it, and I'm probably not going to reread it. I mean, it's a one and done for me, honestly. So, but yeah, I mean, like, the writing style was great. Had I seen the actual physical book, I'd be curious if, like, it had, like, sketches and stuff, because, like, it really read to me like there was, kind of like, a hidden pictures type thing, where you had, like, that creepy factor, and it built, and you're kind of unraveling the story as you go, and they had, like, Jason Recolleck, I think, wrote that one. He had, like, drawings and stuff in that one, which was really cool. And, like, the reason why I bring that one up is because if you see the cover of this book, it really reminds me of that. So, like, creepy kids and, all this stuff. But, yeah, so if you're looking for something that you feel like the characters are unhinged and they're losing their damn minds, I definitely recommend this one. So, it's good going into it not knowing a lot, in my opinion. I know when I first picked this one up, I didn't know anything about it. I was like, wow, that's a really creepy cover. Let's listen to this. And it was a very fast read. I listened to most of my audiobooks on 2x speed. So, take that with what you will. I think I finished, like, several books that day. So, because of how quick I had finished that. Okay, so we went from thriller... Well, we went from sci-fi with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We went to thriller with Beautiful Ugly. We went to horror for The Grip of It. And now we are at my next final read of the month, which I only have 3 more, including this one. So we're getting there. So the next one that I had finished in August was Haunt Sweet Home by Sarah Pinsker. And this one was interesting because I thought the cover was absolutely gorgeous. Like, there's this floral print to it. It's got, it kind of gives me the vibes of like a spooky ghost story, but it really took me by surprise because, one, it ended up turning into, it kind of like turned into like kind of like a mixed media thing where you have them talking into this like podcast, but then you have things happening and occurring in real time. And it was a very interesting way to write it. I wasn't expecting that. So, but to give you kind of an idea, it is, a reality TV show. Stage scares transform into unnerving reality in this spooky ghost story from multiple Hugo and Nobel award-winning author Sarah Pinsker. So when aimless 20-something Mara lands a job as the night shift production assistant on her cousin's ghost hunting home makeover reality TV show, Haunt Sweet Home, she quickly determines her new role will acquire a healthy attitude toward duplicity. But as she hides fog machines in the woods and improvises scares to spook new homeowners, a series of unnerving incidents on set and a creepy new coworker force Mara to confront whether the person she's truly been deceiving and hiding from all along is herself. Eerie and empathetic, Haunt Sweet Home is multifaceted, supernatural exploration of finding your own way into adulthood and into yourself. So, I guess, like, based off of the description that hardcover gives, I would definitely say that it did have, like, kind of that mysterious, like, hey, I'm gonna psych this person out vibe. I would say more the book focused on more of, like, the show itself, and I really didn't get the whole, like, Mara being super sensitive to paranormal activity. So, I don't know. I listened to this one on audiobook, but I thought the cover was gorgeous. I do not physically own this book, but I did really like this book. I gave it a 3 stars, which is okay for me. There were a lot of parts where it really dragged, and that's where I felt that it was like only like a 3-ish star book. I was expecting the whole, like, I am absolutely creeped out by this haunted house, but then realizing that they're, like, kind of staging for their show and stuff like that, that's where I was like, now I'm a little disappointed. But I went in with 0 expectations with it. I've never really read anything by Sarah Pinsker. I actually have We Are Satellites by her, which really surprises me because this is more of, like, I guess, thriller horror from what it mentions. I think on hardcover, though, it mentions, fiction, fantasy, and horror. I'm not sure where the fantasy element comes in. I'm not sure who classified that, but it is a short book. It's only 176 pages. It was published last year. So, if you are looking for anything kind of with that vibe, with, like, hey, this is a reality TV, but then things start going wrong, I would still recommend it. It's kind of like a one and done situation for me. I would never really reread it, in my opinion, but to each their own. So, and then after that book, I had made my way to Orbital by Samantha Harvey because originally with my hardest reading challenge you'll ever do 2.0, I was trying to start working on the award season prompt. And within that award season prompt, you can pretty much pick an award, like Booker Prize or like Goodreads Choice Award. And as long as you like read something that was an entrant, a semifinalist, a finalist, and then the absolute winner, you can fulfill that prompt. So originally I was looking at Booker Prize, but then I realized most of the books on the Booker Prize Award were not something I would normally read. I started reading Flesh by John Soloy, and I was absolutely disgusted with that book. So I had made my way to Orbital by Samantha Harvey, and I have to say that I was very, very much loving that book. I ended up giving it a 4-star review, and I personally liked it a lot. So this book was about like a space station with 6 different astronauts, and they're circling the Earth in 24 hours. And it was kind of like you had like these different citizens from each of these countries. I believe Russia, Italy, Britain, and Japan were involved, along with the Americans. But it was kind of like a snapshot into their day of life. And there were men and women in this, this exploration, if you will. And it was just like kind of like a glimpse into what it would be like to travel to the International Space Station and, go through a 24-hour period. And I thought it was really cool because it kind of went through each of the astronauts' their own individual, like, kind of snapshot into that. So, it is considered space, science fiction, fantasy, literary, and fiction. And, like I said, I really liked it. I'm, a space nerd, if you will. Atmosphere was, like, one of the things that kickstarted this recently, but I would definitely say I kind of get how it won the Booker Prize Award for 2024 because it was very well written, and I've never really read anything by Samantha Harvey, but I definitely would recommend this one if you're looking for something different in the science fiction realm and you're looking for something involving astronauts. So, and then the final book that I had finished in August, because I'm sure you guys are tired of me just going right down this list. But honestly, I like this format because we can just kind of go right one after another. So, I know a couple episodes ago, I started ranting and raving about Lit RPG and how I've absolutely been fond of Lit RPG. And Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. I cannot get enough of this book. I am so excited that there are over 7 books in this series. So normally I would be absolutely intimidated by a series this long, but it was funny. I love Princess Donut. Everyone I know that has read this in the book community always rants and raves about Princess Donut. Honestly, that is what drew me in, is a cat named Princess Donut. So yeah, but yeah, 5 stars, hands down. It was hilarious. I was laughing. It was intense. It was like kind of disheartening, in some places, but overall, I just really devoured this book, and I cannot wait to start reading book 2 of this series. Just because, like, I originally was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to it on an audiobook and then kind of make a decision for myself. Well, originally I was on a book buying ban, and this book pretty much did it in, and now, I have the book in my possession. So can I see myself rereading that book? Absolutely. But yeah, like, hands down, the best. So, alright guys, so now that we have finished up my wrap up for August, let's get into the next part of this episode, and let's talk about the books that I am looking to finish before the end of 2025. And this is not that big of a list compared to, my previous rant. So, so I had put together, I've been like kind of like recording and organizing my hardcover app account to have a list where everything that I do and read and listen to in 2025, I just add to this list. And right now, from what I have added into this list is 92 books, which if I could officially say that I can finish 92 books, I am going to be so gung-ho about finishing up 100 books, because I've always had this goal of wanting to finish 100 books in one single year. And last year was absolutely rough. I think I only finished like 42 books last year, or 49 books. It was something around that line. But for me to be at a count total of 92 books, and if I can actually pull this off, that in itself like just blows me away. So here's some of the books that I have added that I still need to read, but I would love to finish before 2026 starting. And those books are Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, Enchantra by Kaylee Smith, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2 by Jack Thorne, J.K. Rowling, Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow, We Are Satellites by Sarah Pinksker, Winter Spell by Claire Legrand, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, Ordinary Monsters by Jem M. Miro, Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, The Return by Rachel Harrison, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, Ultra 85 by Logic, A Good House for Children by Kate Collins, Listen to Your Sister by Nina Veal, The Martian by Andy Weir, The Memory Police by Yoko Agawa, translated by Steven Snyder. I also have on this list World War Z, An Oral History of the Zombie War by Max Brooks. And then I believe, let me make sure, I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yep, that's everything. Currently right now, I am reading Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. I'm reading that with my daughter. I'm also currently reading Myra by Nikki Gonzalez. I am currently listening to Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, and I am also listening to The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. And then I'm also listening to The Stand by Stephen King, and I have on the docket Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. So, I mean, like, when I'm looking at the list that I have for 2025, I am, like, queuing in other books besides just the ones that are on that list, but I know by, like, next month and into November, I'm definitely going to be going full throttle with the rest of those books, because some of those books are kind of beefy, and I'm a little nervous that I have, like, you know, maybe stretched myself a little bit. But I'm going to be honest, I'm very excited that if I can pull this off and having 92 books read by the end of 2025, I'm all for it. When I'm looking at my goals that I made for 2025, I've already well exceeded both of my goals. So I had down listening to 25 books via audiobook in 2025. I also had down a goal for reading 25 books physically in 2025. Currently, right now, as of today, I have read 35 physical books. I have listened to 37 audiobooks, and I have looks like I've exceeded my 10K pages goal for 2025 as well, because it looks like the page count that I'm looking at is 13,366 to date. So, I mean, I'm still crushing my goals. I'm going to keep going until I hit that last day of the year. And I'd be really curious on how much I do exceed that, because that is really going to determine what those physical and audiobook goals are going to look like for 2026. I'm trying really hard to still not burn myself out, but at the same time too, right now I feel it's comfortable. And that's like another thing I want to talk about is this reading, like kind of like challenge myself, if you will. So instead of like listening to like meditation and Pomodoro timers and like trying to construct these playlists to keep my focus, I have found that if I listen to an audiobook, turn it on, I know I'm not going to get distracted by that element. With having ADHD, it is vital for me to stay as focused as possible so that, like, if something does distract me, I can kick back to my original task that I need to finish for work. And I have been finding that it has increased my productivity by listening to audiobooks, because all I'm doing is clicking it on, and then I'll pause it if I have to like step away for a meeting, or if I have to, go on break or whatever, have you, but most of the time I'm working through lunches. So, I know that's not exactly healthy, but it gets the job done. So, and then when I get home, I physically read when I can, as long as my children allow me to do so. So, and I say that nicely because, we're constantly very, very busy, which is why it was no surprise to me the last few weeks that at least someone in this household has been sick. So, we're just always constantly go, 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 or, doing something. If it's not related to Girl Scouts, it's some extracurricular that, my kids have. So yeah, there's really no time to sit down. So, but it's okay, like, cause when I'm commuting to work, cause I have like over an hour commute, I turn on my audiobook. If I'm not, doing some other task, I do crank on my audiobook when I'm trying to cook and clean and stuff like that. But for the most part, that has really been a game changer when it comes to crushing these goals. And I never really thought I'd be at this point where I have exceeded even 50 books, let alone be where I'm at right now. So I'm very happy with the strategy that I took on, and I'm planning on taking that into 2026. So I know quite a few people have been looking at like, hey, I want to read this for like a, fall read or whatever. But like I mentioned, like my books are all over the place. Like my lists, like I used to create lists like for every single month, and then I would create like an overall TBR list for the whole year. And time is just not on my side, so I don't have time to make all these individual lists anymore. So I kind of pick my battles. But I mean, if you want to consider some of the books that I will be reading in the next few months as like a holiday read, I would definitely say, Hellbent is definitely autumnal. From what I remember with Ninth House, actually, I thought about re-listening to Ninth House just so that, because it's been like a few years since I've touched Ninth House, and with going into the second Alex Stern book of this series, I just want to make sure that I don't miss anything and I don't give myself like what the heck's going on vibes. So, Hellbent, I'm excited for. I've been excited for it. I have the book of the month version of that. Not version, edition. So, I am looking forward to that. It is a beefy book. It's about 400, almost 500 pages. So, it's going to take some time to get through that. I believe the first book in that series was also 400 to 500 pages. The audiobooks, I think, are around 16 hours, but if I listen to it on 2 times speed, I should be able to get through it in 8 hours if my logic is, mathing. But, so yeah, I would say that's a fallish read. I would say The Familiar might be a fallish read. The Once and Future Witches, I would definitely say is like a fall read. I would say Play Nice is kind of like a fall read. The Wicked Deep is like a fall read. The Return gives me all the spooky vibes. Like I'm looking forward to that one. Ever since I read like Rachel Harrison's like the Rachel Harrison book that I read back in August, even in July, I have not been able to put down her books. Like, she's got so many. I didn't even realize how many books this woman has made. And it's all within like thriller and horror, which I'm 100% for it. So, and then like, I got like some sci-fi books mixed in. So, I mean, I think it's a good mix, honestly. And then like it knocks off quite a few of my HRCYED 2.0 prompts, which I really want to dive into that as well with this episode. So yeah, when it comes to HRCYED, I do want to do an update on that as well. So I've been like keeping up with my spreadsheet to kind of keep track on where I'm at, and I believe I am almost through by the hundreds prompt, which it looks like all I need to fulfill is the 600 page level. And then right now I'm currently listening to The Stand by Stephen King, which will fulfill the 700 count page book that I need to read. When it comes to the subgenres of choice, I did pick sci-fi, and it looks like I only have one book left of that. So I am very excited about this one because it's a dystopian. So yeah, so my subgenres of choice, like I had mentioned, I'm very close to completing that. I believe that the next prompt that I'm close to finishing up is the last 10 years. I do have only 2 books left with that prompt as well. And I'm looking through my list, and it appears that those are the only ones that are really close to being complete. I know I still have a ways to go with the Even Bigger Rainbow Challenge. I still need to come up with a plan for my make a quote prompt. Still have quite a bit to go with my spooky creatures. And I did complete the readathon challenge prompt, so that one has been completed. I do have a plan for the your favorite HRCYED 1.0 prompt. I ended up like changing this one several times because originally I was like, okay, I'm going to select a book from the year that I was born and select something that was published in that year. And I originally was like, okay, I'll read It from Stephen King because that's a pretty big book. But I realized that if I can like kind of expand it with this other prompt that I had picked, which is the 5 books with lowest rating on your TBR, it will also help me expand the other prompts that I'm lacking on. At least that's my strategy at this point. And then I'm doing really progressively well with the new releases. Because of how this new releases challenge prompt is set up, I was able to give myself credit for Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab, because that one was released in June and I completed it before the 60 days. Because the way that prompt is set up is that you can either read it 60 days before or after the release date. So I was able to get that one knocked out. I'm also in progress of reading Catabasis by R.F. Kuang and Myra by Nikki Gonzalez. So, and the Myra book is very short, so I think I could still pull that one off. I only have a few days left, but I'm actually, as of today, I believe I have maybe only 50 or so pages left of that book. So, and then with Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, that one came out this month in September. So I have until November to finish that one up. So that's the strategy I'm taking with that one. And I'm looking at these other ones, and I do have like a plan for each of these, but it's going to cut kind of close because once I hit December, I'm only going to have maybe 6 more months left. And I don't know if I want to solely base my reading around this challenge. Like if I can like knock out as many of these prompts as possible, that'd be great, but I'm not expecting to black out the entire board as what is intended with completing this challenge. But I mean, if I'm looking at everything that I have planned, I have a good bulking amount that will be fulfilled with this. So that's all I really want to mention about HRCYED, because I know that I have really centered previous episodes around this, so I don't want it to be the full basis of why I talk about this, but I just wanted to honorably mention it. But I know that this episode is very, very long, and I appreciate you sticking through it. If you did make it to the end, I would love to hear from you. If you're on hardcover app, I would love to connect with you. Bookworm Emerson, I believe, is my tag. Yes, Bookworm Emerson is my tag on hardcover. I would love to interact with you on there. As I've mentioned in the past, I do have a Facebook page. I have a Discord channel. All the things, all the details will be in the description of this podcast. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And in the next episode, I'm hoping that I will see you then. All right. Take care. Bye.